Today's plan initially was to install my electrical system into the RV. I have it all laid out there. Unfortunately, the weather had other plans, and it is pouring rain. There's a tropical thunderstorm warning going on right now, so I can't really do that. I figured I would take this time and show you guys what I have planned. So here's what I have. This is right here, the entire system. Right here, we have the batteries. So these are the batteries. It goes into a fuse. That fuse goes to a kill switch, and that kill switch goes to a bus bar. It has the giant inverter, which is this right here. This 3,000 watt inverter will basically power the entire RV. Outlets, so the air conditioning, the microwave, the computers, my Starlink, pretty much everything will be powered by this thing. I have right here, this is a battery shunt, which basically charges the battery, or I'm sorry, monitors the battery so that I know exactly how much battery I have left whenever I am going to recharge the batteries. So I have an idea of how much battery I have. It basically monitors all the current going in and out of the battery. So pretty useful piece of gear. These are just bus bars. So this is what everything's going to be connected to for the battery. And then I have a kill switch right here. This kill switch, basically just a kill switch. So it'll turn off. I turn it to off and it'll disconnect the power from the battery and from the whole RV to make it a lot safer whenever I'm working on anything. Then you have this right here is going to go, this is the first thing that's going to be connected to the battery. This is a 400 amp fuse. That's just going to protect the battery and ensure that if there's ever any spikes or anything, that the batteries don't get destroyed. The converter, this right here is basically going to take power from my shore power through these cables, and it's going to charge my batteries, which are over there. Those batteries are going to basically be fully charged within like 3 or 4 hours using this. Plus I have a converter that's already on my RV, which is going to be another 30 amps. So in total, I'll be pushing about 110 amps into those batteries, which those batteries are rated for it. So that's going to basically charge my batteries really quickly. Plus I also have during the day this solar charge controller, which is going to be connected to the solar panels that are actually on my roof, and that combined in about 3 hours usually I'll be able to fully charge my batteries. That's going to be nice. They are each 300 amp hours, so it's 600 amp hours in total. Plus I also have my Anker power station, which is another 100 amp hours. So that's going to be 700 amp hours total. I'll be able to charge that one up whenever I have excess power. I'm going to be putting all of this in the storage bay. I also have in my RV, which if it stops raining, I'll show you guys. But in my RV, I have an automatic transfer switch, which is basically going to connect between the shore power and the inverter. So it's going to, an automatic transfer switch basically just decides where power is going to be coming from. So whenever I plug into like an outlet at a campsite or at somebody's house, my RV will be run off of that. And once I unplug that, my entire RV will shift to the inverter. And that inverter pulls power from the battery and turns it to be able to power all the outlets on the RV. I have a lot of cabling. This is the 2-aught cable that I made myself. This is basically going to be used to put these two batteries together in parallel. The simplest way that I can describe it is when you connect the batteries, so if you have multiple batteries, you connect all the positives together and all the negatives together. So positive to positive and negative to negative. You're doing what's called a parallel connection. That parallel connection is going to make it so that the voltage on your battery stays the same, but your amperage is going to be doubled or added together. So if you have two 100 amp hour batteries, or in my case, two 300 amp hour batteries, you would still have a 12 volt battery, but it would count now as a 600 amp hour system. If you connected positive to the positive on one battery to the negative on the other, and then use the opposing positive and negative from each one of the batteries that are left over to plug into whatever system you have, that would be a series connection, and that's going to basically keep your amp hours the same. So if I were to do it to my batteries, since they're both 12 volt batteries, it would become a 24 volt system as opposed to the 12 volt system. And that's going to be, really it would be like 15.6 because the batteries are like 12.8, and really they're actually higher because they generally these are lithium iron phosphate batteries, so they're really like at 14.4, 14.6 volts. But yeah, that's what happens when you connect them in series, and that just gives you a higher voltage system. I'm trying to run everything off 12 volts, so I have no real reason to do that. And yeah, the only real benefit to that is generally you'll need skinnier wires, or you won't need as thick of a wire. Because I'm doing the batteries in parallel, I'm going to have a lot of very thick cabling requirements. I've been doing, as you can tell, a lot of research. This is like one plan, but I'll show you guys. Just because I've been working on this for so long. Here I have another system, which is basically very similar. Battery, you have the fuse, then you have the kill switch or disconnect. You have smart shunt, which is basically the battery monitor, the inverter to the automatic transfer switch. The other side is shore power and converter, and then you have the RV panel, which is just the power. Issue with that, I forgot initially to draw out the bus bar. And yeah, as you can tell, my room, everything's a mess right now. It's been a very chaotic couple of weeks. I'm done. I finished for the most part. I've connected a good amount of the wiring to the RV, and all the cabling is now officially on all of this. This was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. A much bigger project than I thought I was tackling. But yeah, so we're done. Fuse to the kill switch. We have bus bar. Bus bar is connected to the inverter, to the MPPT charge controller, and to what else? Oh, and to the actual converter that's going to charge the battery. Negative is obviously coming from the shunt, which this goes to the battery. I made a little note for myself there, and also for the positive there. This goes to same thing, charge controller, the inverter, and the converter, which is going to again charge the battery. This is also, I think I'm missing something. Oh yeah, I need to connect a little cable here, which I have in the RV. This goes to the positive here, or no, this actually goes straight to the battery because we don't want to lose power to the shunt. Everything is soaking wet. See, hopefully I didn't. Is there anything in here? Yeah, just water. Okay, cool. Here's the travel trailer. I keep calling it an RV. It's technically a travel trailer, but I use those words interchangeably. So that panel is going to be going in here, which I actually do fit in there, but the panel is going to go up against this wall on the other side. And then RV is also a massive mess right now. Everything around here seems to be getting flooded. There was a literal thunderstorm. We have the panel, which this panel I've officially finished plugging everything. I took the main breaker and unplugged it. The main breaker was plugged into this right here, which is just a shore power, and that shore power is normally what would supply power to the whole RV, but now that shore power is connected to this automatic transfer switch, to these right here at the bottom, which is the primary source. And then when this is not connected, when this is unplugged, this will pull from the inverter, and it'll use the inverter as the primary source of power for the RV. So it allows me to be boondocking, or just to be not present at any RV park. I can just kind of go park up in the middle of nowhere in the desert and have power, have AC, have my computer running, have internet with Starlink, which Starlink is actually on right now. Thanks to that thing over there. I purchased that, and it's been the biggest blessing. That's a power station, which is right now my RV's not connected to shore power, but I'm able to power my laptop, power my Starlink, and basically do whatever I need to do to without being connected to shore power. Because if you connect to shore power while you're working on electricity, obviously that would be dangerous. You do not want power being fed to this while you're working on it, and that's why I did all of this. So I added this breaker right here. This breaker is going to be separate by itself to the 80 amp converter, and that's this cable right here. So it's this cable that comes up, and it's just all of this bundled right here, which all of this is going to be fed through that little hole right there at the bottom. That hole is going to be where I feed this cable, and it's going to go through here, out this side, right down there, through there, run along the RV, through here, and then under the bed to the outside storage. And so that's the plan, at least. I don't know how well it'll work, but we will see. So that's one cable that I'm missing that I have to run. I have to run this cable. I have to run the cable that's going to go to from here, this automatic transfer switch, to the inverter. So those are the only two cables that I need to run. And then obviously in the front storage bay where the actual batteries are going to be stored, plus all that stuff that I showed you, that little piece of plywood, all of that is going to be stored up there, and all of that will be needing to be connected. And that should be a pretty simple process. That's just going to be like two cables to the battery, set up the shunt, and turn on the inverter, test everything, make sure everything's working good, and then should be pretty much ready to hit the road at that point. Oh, I also have to install the solar panels on the roof, so that's another thing that I have to do. But not an expert, kind of figuring it out as I go. There's a high likelihood that this entire RV catches fire the moment that I plug it in, and I'm really hoping that's not the case. But everything in here is looking like it's correct. I put the neutrals where they go, I put the grounds where they go, and I put the actual hot wires where they go, so I'm hoping everything's correct. But there's really no real way to know for certain until I plug it in and see if it works. If everything works, great. If not, then I will hopefully live to tell the tale. Okay, so right now I have the power disconnected to the RV, but I'll show you guys. Here we have the automatic transfer switch. So you have these little Wago connectors right here. This goes to basically the panel that's down here. I gotta connect that to this thing, which is gonna supply power to the whole RV, the whole travel trailer. One of these hots and neutrals go to the inverter. The other hot and neutral go to the actual shore power, which is just that big thick cable that goes connected outside. That then goes to basically this right here. It's like a little magnetic system that is powered by this little computer, or controlled by that little computer. It'll disconnect the inverter power whenever shore power gets connected, and whenever I lose shore power or I unplug the outlet that's outside, it'll automatically switch back to the inverter, which makes it so that my RV is basically always powered. The initial idea of this whole system was initially going to be put into a like a Sprinter van or a Chevy Express van, but I did some thinking and I realized a big concern that I had was if I were to go travel in my travel trailer, or let's say at the time I had a van, and something happens to the engine of the van, I would basically be stuck. I would have no way to get around. I would have nowhere to go to sleep, and I would basically be stranded. With the travel trailer truck combo, I now have the ability to travel, and if something were to happen to the RV, I can leave it and sleep in my truck, which I'll show you guys in a second what I picked up for the truck. And if something were to happen to the truck, I can park the RV at an RV park, work my job, and then just have whatever mechanic or whatever is working on the car work on the truck. And then that way I have a place to sleep no matter what, and I have transportation if something were to happen to the travel trailer. Versus with a van, I would basically just be shit out of luck. But yeah, that's the big reasoning behind that. I'm gonna show you. I bought it's called a soft topper. It's basically just a shell for the bed of the truck, which is really cool, because if I I'll just show you guys. If I end up needing to do some work on the travel trailer, I can show you guys. I have, so you can see right there, that thing right there. I don't want to get, I'll just show you guys real quick. This right here. So it's pretty much waterproof. Water doesn't really get inside. I might have to work on it a little bit to get it a little bit more secure, but you guys can see the inside of that is pretty much dry, and that would be where I would sleep and camp and all that in the case that I ended up breaking down and having an issue with my actual RV. So yeah, that is that, and that is the truck right there. It's my dream truck. I freaking love that truck. So it's exciting stuff. And yeah, just wanted to show you guys, that's the electrical system that I have planned right now. Very much towards the final stages of getting it installed. I would have been done by now had it not started pouring and a thunderstorm been out, unfortunately. And this isn't even nothing. It was like, I thought the house was gonna, the roof of the house was gonna get yanked out from how hard it was. So yeah, that is what I plan on doing. So once everything's installed, I will give you guys an update and let you guys know how it's going. And should be, I'm estimating by the end of June, or sorry, end of July, I should be ready to hit the road. I should have everything that I need and be pretty much set to go. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated. Bye.